is really well. And this is actually why we don't really see champions like
How to recall like a challenger in 8 minutes. Let's just
Yeah,
play it
I
and then
wanna
talk
learn.
after.
Let's get into a Smurf game, but we'll watch Hector win almost entirely off of his recalls. There's going to be a bit of an abnormal start to this laning phase. Yasuo will be alone because Soraka was AFK for a bit. This won't matter long term, it's just something to be noted.
Yeah, it's not gonna matter long term
here.
here.
Start allows Hector to get the push lead, so him and Pike.
Wait, hold on. Oh god. You can
really
wait. Pause.
Yeah, what?
Dude.
What?
You could have chose any game, right? Because this is a made video, right? It's edited.
Yeah. Yeah.
He just like he's like doing it in one take. He's like, guys, AFK, but I'm just, like.
Huh?
He can choose any game, but he actually allows a game with someone who's AFK to be the video. Do you know what I mean?
Hey, who is AFK?
What?
The support?
I think
Wait,
you.
what?
I think you're AFK.
No, what? Hello?
I think Nemesis is AFK, guys.
Wait, is Soraka AFK or what? On the team.
Oh god. Alright, this is good.
Fine.
This
You
is
just don't get
actually
it.
a really,
I hit play
really
again.
bad spot to be in this matchup. Low elo support players playing hook-based champions are usually very lost when they don't see an obvious hook angle. So, when the wave is like this, the lane effectively becomes a 1v2. Combine that with the fact that Hector got hit by a lot of skill shots and blew most of his potions, and the lane is already looking pretty lost. So, what do? Well, he tries to grab a bit more CS and just ditches the lane and recalls. Let's break down this recall and why it wins him the laning phase. So, take a look at the wave as he's recalling. It's basically dead, and so the enemy
I can't
duo
watch
can't
this.
freeze. This means their only options are to either slow push or fast shove the wave. This can lead to 3 unique situations, which are all favorable for Hector, which is why he takes this recall. 1.
What?
The enemy slow pushes.
No!
His recall is terrible.
His recall is awful!
Hector can come back and maintain the freeze with his health and item advantage. This sets up easy ganks because he has Pike versus Yasuo and Soraka. Even if they don't get ganked though, they'll still be at an item disadvantage. The second outcome is that they fast crash the wave and take their own recall.
This is such a
This is
joke,
fine.
man.
Yasuo won't have much more gold and likely just picks up another Doran's Blade and potions as well. Going from the earlier lanes.
And then the wave pushes back into Yasuo and Soraka and MF dies. What? The one thing that he just said would have been good for MF, okay? Hold on. This, which he just said was good for MF, is about to happen to MF. Hello?
Has a Pike versus Yasuo and Soraka.
I got.
Even if the Yasuo, who is a melee champion. Things are actually at an item disadvantage. Huge mistake by the enemy team.
Yeah, lock
potions
them
as
in
well.
lane and they unlock a
Yasuo
freeze.
won't have much control, and likely just
These
picks up
people
another
are
Doran's
so
Blade and
bad.
potions as well. Going from the earlier lane state, which was terrible, to being even is a pretty favorable outcome, right? Or the outcome that actually happens. They fast shove the wave, but they don't recall. This is a huge mistake by the enemy team. Hector isn't
I
dumb
agree.
and isn't going to give them a free recall. He's going to lock them in lane, leaving them perpetually at an item disadvantage, allowing him to take control of the laning phase.
Wait.
Things are even better.
Wait. He said Hector's not dumb, but then he just slow pushed into them. That doesn't lock them in lane?
I told you, he unlocked the freeze.
What is he
Oh.
doing, Hector? What the?
Because he happens to be versus Yasuo.
Something else. Videos like this are something else, dude.
Very punishing for him when
How
he tries
to
to
recall
last
like
hit
a
under his power.
challenger.
Unlike last time when he was in this situation, the extra Doran's Blade will definitely help
She's fucked! She says like the lane is ruined. What?
mitigate the poke that he's going to take.
Oh, it's
And finally,
ruined.
his Pike does punish the overextending Soraka.
Okay, I mean,
forcing her
Soraka
out of lane
blunders.
And leaving Yasuo alone.
Yeah, okay, they blunder really hard. They should have just let the wave come in. Everything was fine.
Then, as all low
And then they
players
they
he
do
brings the damage for free.
then they do layered
This
recalls.
gives his team a numbers advantage to get dragon.
Oh
but
my
always fix the wave
god.
before going to take the dragon. Resetting it and making it bounce back to you is critical. Once that's done, he helps secure the dragon and recalls. We're going to skip ahead a bit, since we do want to focus on recalling and not much happens during the lane anyways. After shoving out the wave, he looks to collapse and help his team, but the enemy bot lane just backs off. But
wait, he should have reset. He should have reset. He shouldn't rotate for this. He should have reset and get he should have gotten straight to dirt. He should have reset.
I mean, he's what?
After shoving out the wave,
okay, what timing are you at?
I was at 4:30, but he shouldn't go help the wave.
Okay, just watch what's about to happen. Just watch what's about to happen.
Yeah.
After shoving out the wave, he looks to collapse and help his team, but the enemy bot lane just backs off. But LeBlanc is still out of position, and although it is a bit close because of the accidental turret shot that he takes, they do manage to kill her. What do you think they should do in this position?
I think they should do. Pause.
What?
Tell me.
What do you mean pause?
Are you at 4?
You just insta reset.
Yes, he said it's wrong. Just watch.
What?
Just
no,
watch.
you insta reset.
No.
No. Wait. He's gonna Okay. He's gonna say to push the turret and get a plate, right? Even though it completely fucks your tempo and then it ruins your bot lane state.
Yep.
Obviously, a lot of people's immediate reaction is to recall here, but that's actually wrong this time. Think about what he buys if he recalls. 800 gold is a crit cloak at best. No good, and then he'd have a full inventory and wouldn't even get his magical footwear at 10 minutes. So, Hector opts to stay and keep farming bottom. The reason he can do this is important. Remember, they just killed LeBlanc, so Vladimir has priority from mid lane. But more important, Pyke and Warwick are controlling the enemy bot side jungle. The enemy Yasuo and Soraka couldn't punish him even if they wanted.
Yes, she can! What?
Not only that, but he's healing up really quickly thanks to all the lifesteal that he's
Oh
got,
my god,
and a
this
bit
is
from the
something
Ocean
else,
Dragon that
dude.
they claimed earlier.
Oh, so isn't Joff supposed to start right now?
Yeah, draft's about to start. Dude, this was
This was something else, dude.
This is alright, so Twitch chat. When I want to talk about discernibility, right? This is actually what I'm referencing. Because you can load into a custom and demonstrate that all of this is wrong. This is insane. Holy shit. This is like 5.5 minutes of lying. Like, or not, I mean, he's probably not lying because he probably doesn't know, but like, it's just inaccurate, and you can demonstrate that it's inaccurate. But the thing is like, things that he said are losing are not losing, and you can just show that it's not losing. So like, the reason that you actually have to recall here, okay?
Still out of position.
Now, obviously, we're not seeing like F keys and whatnot, but like, the reason that you have to recall here is you see Kha'Zix, right, on the right-hand side? You see Kha'Zix, okay.
Is important.
So Kha'Zix's gonna retreat. He's gonna go up to Wolves. Okay. Now the thing is like, they know where Warwick is, they know where Vladimir is because Kha'Zix just saw them, right? So now what's gonna happen is the cannon wave's gonna slow push into Yasuo and Soraka. And now, because it's slow pushing into Yasuo and Soraka, Warwick and friends have to abide by the rules of the game in terms of like movement speed. So like right here, MF's tagging the wave. Now Yasuo could have already been up in the wave and he could have just E'd through. And you can E through in a way that allows you to still E out. Okay? And now you might say that like, well, they know that Warwick and Pyke, you know, are behind them. Right, they're behind them, but there's a set limit of time that they would need to get into. Oh, that's right, you guys can't see because of the NordVPN ad. There's a set amount of time that they would need to get into position. Okay? But then the other thing is that even if MF piles up 2 waves and then shoves it into Yasuo, it's not necessarily a winning line, because then Yasuo ends up also getting a pretty ideal recall. So it's just really strange. Now, like here, I mean, we crash it in. I mean, I couldn't see Soraka HP and mana bar as well, but there's a chance that this is actually just way worse than it even appears. I don't know why Pyke isn't helping. Also, this is an example of like MF should hit the spellcasters before the melees, so that I talk about this all the time. You hit the spellcasters first and then the melees, because the spellcasters are closer to the opponent, the melees are closer to your retreat path. So it's optimizing. But yeah, a lot of stuff here is like really bad. It's almost ironic, like this thing where he like asserts that like the one of 3 things that could happen to the wave thingy is just really weird because yeah, the opposite ends up happening. Okay, draft started. You ready?
Yeah.
And welcome to another video. Now, this one's going to be all about drafting. Now, because drafting is this beautiful art form, it's incredibly complex, in-depth, just an amazing part of the game of League of Legends. In order for me to do it justice, I need to go into a lot of detail. So this video will be very complicated, and I've got the timestamps in the description below. There will be content within this video for people of all levels of play, whether you're an amateur coach or an amateur player, all the way through to professional levels, maybe even just you're a Clash player or Clash coach, whatever it is. There'll be things in here to help all of you. And just a little caveat before we get into it, this is all just my opinion, given my experiences that I was a head coach, a pro player, and just a high elo player. Again, I may be wrong on some things, I may be right with other things. Feel free to disagree with me with a few points in the comments, and we can have an in-depth discussion about it. So where we're going to start, we're going to start with flex picks. A flex pick is a champion that can be played in multiple roles. They are incredibly strong for drafting because they allow you to not give information about where things are going and get more information about the enemy team's composition before deciding where to put it. This simultaneously hides your comp's identity and creates more options for counter picks down the line. Now, as a head coach or a team together, having that team discussion, if there is any way to learn more flex picks, spend the time to learn them. There is a massive reason why champions like Syndra are so strong at the moment, because they can be simultaneously played bot and mid, and they are very annoying to draft.
I think this is an old video a bit.
Next, we're going to talk about patch OPs. Every patch there is a meta. And this is just basically the most effective tactics available or most efficient tactics available. This is brought about through changes in base stats, scaling.
So, generally, the meta is not actually the... Well, okay. So this is something I've said many times. I don't know if I've said it with you. The actual meta is whatever counters the meta. It's not the popular meta. Does that make sense? It's not whatever's popular. It's whatever actually beats whatever's popular. That's always the meta. And within there lies the answer to actually deep drafting. Because once you become aware that the meta is not the popular vote, you then enter an area of people who are aware of that then actually draft on a different level. You know what I mean? Like, that's when drafting evolves. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Do you agree? I mean, I don't know if we've
I
had
agree.
that comment. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Stats, new champions, map changes, and just the overall evolution of the way the game is played. Now, in every patch, there are OPs or strong picks. These are champions that don't really have correct stats proportionate to everything else in the game and usually have unnecessary advantages. Examples of these would be a scaling teamfight champion that also gets early pressure and can set up ganks. Azir is the perfect example of this. It not only scales incredibly well in front-to-back teamfights, he can be the source of engage for his team. He can also get a lot of early pressure. He can set up ganks at 6. He can do a lot of different things, and that's why we're seeing him so much at the moment within pro play. B, a flex pick that also has early pressure and scales, for example, Syndra. And C, a champion that just doesn't have any obvious counter picks or counterplay. Or the counter picks are just bad champions in general that don't really operate well outside the laning phase. Next is team identity. Although the meta always shifts and requires adaptation from each player, the team still needs to have an underlying identity which is built upon each player's unique strengths and weaknesses.
What?
Now remember, no player can play every champion. They will inherently be better at specific champions. Don't get caught up and become a meta slave. Let's take a few examples. A. You may find that the mid laner is great at champions like Vic.
Well, he forgot to mention when it comes to champions.
Yeah.
What makes a lot of champions OP is their kit. It has nothing to do with their numbers or, you know.
Or the lack thereof of numbers. Yeah.
Yeah.
The opposite is also true. It's not necessarily that champions are too strong on a patch, it's that everyone else sucks. And ironically, team identity, he's showing 2 champions that only rise into the meta when everyone else sucks. Which is Orianna and Orianna and Victor.
That is true. I mean, no. Wait, no. He said Syndra and Azir.
Yeah. But what time are you at?
Oh, 3:17.
Oh, I'm at 3:18. He's about to show Orianna and Victor.
Oh.
Yeah. All right. All right. Ready?
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Orianna, and Cassiopeia, and is able to win matchups with those champions even when countered. You may also find that your top laner is a carry-oriented player who excels on Camille, Jax, and Kled. And if given a solid counter pick, if they can have a really good spot to pick Jax, they can just take over a game. Now, yes, each player needs to adapt to the current patch and the way the game is played, but it is important to find ways to utilize these elements of uniqueness, and I've found it's actually a great way to begin creating strategy. B. Given I have this information, I can now start theorizing and discussing how well these champs actually fare within the current meta. So after one of my players says, you know what, I'm really comfortable with Cassiopeia, I'll ask him, well, let's figure out how well Cassiopeia actually does within this specific meta. And then we'll start talking about, what are we actually going to sacrifice by picking this champion? Maybe it's a very assassin-esque meta and we're not going to have as much burst damage, but we're going to have more sustained damage. And then how can we make that work? What do we need to sacrifice in order to make that pick work? What do we need to ban, etc.? Now, keep in mind, when a player is on his comfort champion, they should be able to win every single time the 50-50 matchups or even the 60-40 matchups, and will be able to operate at higher levels of play given they are incredibly clear on that champion's identity. Their team fighting will be better, their macro calls will be better, they'll be better at making creative calls and plays in game, and should in theory be disproportionately better than they usually are on other champions. And C, the other massive advantage of having these unique picks and strategies in your arsenal is that sometimes you can actually force the enemy to waste 1 or 2 bans in the first 3 bans because they're worried about target banning you. For example, maybe you're versing a team that has like a Victor 1-trick or something, and every single time you verse that team, you just have to get rid of Victor. And it's super annoying because maybe there's all these OP champs in the meta, and you're going to have to let one of them through the draft. So this is what can actually happen if you do have these, and you actually...
This has nothing to do with drafting.
I mean, why?
But also, I don't understand. The assertion is that you'd be able to always win the 50-50s or the 40-60s, right? So, if you apply the same logic to that person's opponent, it doesn't make any sense.
So if you have a battle on Syndra between Showmaker and Chovy, how are they both supposed to win?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
It's both comfort champs.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it doesn't.
But
it works against each other.
Right. It's illogical. The other thing is, like, a comfort champion has nothing to do... Like, that doesn't actually have to do with... It can be... This what he's talking about right now would be actually something that I would imagine I would find later in the video, because it's a specific, right? When you begin to entertain your own player's ability to play a certain champion versus an opponent's, and how that factors into a draft, regardless of if it's correct or not. But that's not a fundamental. That's actually a deviation, because you're talking about something that doesn't pertain to draft theory itself. You're talking about an outside factor that is dependent on a person's personal ability.
Yep.
I wouldn't classify it as a fundamental. I would have expected to hear this later in the video, if it was here. I don't know. No, it's not for beginners. It literally says it's for all levels of play, and even specifies for pro players. It's not good for Luilo. That's not true. It's harmful to say that something like this is good for Luilo. Your foundation is the most important thing that you can ever do. Anyways.
Actually own the fact that your team can play these unique champions. Now what we're going to do, we're going to get into the Draft Fundamentals 101. And these are the things that we need to be aware of before getting into the examples. Number 1, concealing team composition identity. Generally in the first half of the draft, you don't really want to lock yourself into a certain way of playing the game or give too much information away about what you need in the second half of the draft. This is really why flex picks, or just straight up very versatile champions with loaded kits, are generally picked in the first half of the draft.
Wait a second.
These are champions like Ornn, Lee Sin, Jarvan, Zaya Rakan, Misfortune, Syndra, Set, Nautilus, etc. These champs also offer a lot to a composition even if they get countered, or can minimize counters really well, and this is actually why we don't really see champions like...
I can't!
Nautilus. Okay.
No, not even that. No, my chat saw it. You didn't see it yet. Wait, I'm gonna send you. What's the date? God damn.
Are you still playing the video?
No. I just linked you a video on Discord.
I don't see anything.
What? Scroll.
Oh.
What's the date? The date. Yeah. God damn it.
The date of the video?
Yeah.
Is it before or after?
It's this video's after. God damn it. All right, whatever.
Okay. Where are you at?
Yeah, I'm at. Okay. Hold on. All right, I'll go to 6:34. I'm gonna hit play.
Okay, 6:34.
Yeah. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
With heavy dive comps and team fighting, he can be played for early pressure and ganks, but he can also just build Cinderhulk in full tank and play Peel and Zone. He's extremely flexible, and that's one of the reasons why he's consistently seen in competitive play year in, year out. Number 2, pressure and options. Now, this point specifically is why I personally feel like the best coaches are either high elo players or even better, ex-pro players. As a jungler within a game, the best games are the ones where you have plenty of options. You have multiple winning lanes, you have river control, you can gank multiple lanes, you can invade, you can do dragons and rifts, you just have pressure. This means that the game is a lot easier to navigate, and if someone misplays, you still have backup options. So when I head into a draft, I'm constantly thinking to myself and talking to my team about which role is getting counterpick? Where is our pressure going to come from? If we ban X champion, will it allow this pick to get pressure? And how can we create situations that my jungler will have plenty of options? My favorite way to do this in draft is to have a deep understanding about 2v2s within top jungle or mid jungle, and just the 3v3s within the bot side of the map. So that's between the AD, support, and the jungler. Now, as a high elo player,
that's completely wrong.
Have a very high understanding, a very good understanding about how junglers affect lanes. The game is way too complex to view things in isolated 1v1s. Pressure can leak from other lanes to affect nearby lanes. Maybe a specific jungle path or a specific jungler's kit can completely influence the lane to an insane degree. So let's actually look at some specific examples. I like to explain this through the analogy of a cake. Each layer of the cake adds another layer of depth and complexity, but they're all interdependent and relevant to each other. For example, if we play Galio into Zoe mid, yes, in an isolated 1v1, Galio is not going to win that 1v1. He's probably going to lose trades, and it's not going to be really that good for Galio. That's layer 1. But if we pair Galio with a favorable jungle matchup where we can guarantee a stronger mid-jungle 2v2 and some gank threat, maybe we give our jungler counter pick in the draft, maybe we ban 2 Jarvan counters into picking Jarvan on red side, etc. Then we're going to have Galio Jarvan together into Zoe with a weaker jungler. This will actually make it so Galio actually does win the lane, or at least gets pressure, because Zoe has to play extremely respectfully and allow Galio to get push on the lane. So this is layer 2.
This is very black and white.
It's really pause. It is really black and white, and what this guy's assuming is that Zoe doesn't know how to adjust or recalibrate the lane phase to still exert pressure. Right, it's really fucking weird. But also, it's insinuating that the Galio's jungler is just always able to permagank Zoe as if Zoe has no brain.
Yeah. I mean, this... Yeah,
if Chovy's on Zoe, it doesn't matter if you have Jarvan in the jungle. You're still gonna lose lane on Galio, like, even if it's Showmaker, like, what? You know? If you use the best mid-jungle duo in the world versus best mid-jungle duo in the world, Zoe's still winning. It's just how it is. Like, what? What are we saying? Now, I would have... Yeah. But, the weird thing is, I would have been fine with this if he said that Galio slots into an overall comp better than Zoe down the line. That's fine.
Or his
Right.
team is better.
Right.
Yeah.
The team is better. Right. The team is better. But saying something like this is just really weird, man.
I mean, it's not right.
All right. Ready?
3-2-1.
What?
Okay. Yeah,
3,
let's
2, 1.
go.
Yeah.
3.
1, 2, 3.
Comes in when we start thinking about how other lane matchups affect this one. Now, maybe our bot lane got hard counted or just start losing, and maybe that the support Nautilus starts hovering mid and turning this mid jungle 2v2 into a 3v2. And the pressure that bot is exerting on the map influences the mid jungle matchup enough that Zoe actually gets pressure back, or a seesaw of pressure actually begins to form where it flows back and forth. Lastly, layer 4 comes into play, and this is the most complex one. This is where we need to assess the quality and the ability to even use that pressure due to micro interactions. So let's just say Galio Jarvan get a bunch of pressure in mid and then Zoe has to respect. But maybe the enemy top laner is a Maokai and that Maokai's taking really good trades. So the Jarvan Galio can't really dive top. And maybe they're versing a Xayah Rakan, and the Xayah Rakan's actually taking really good trades, so they can't even dive bot either. And then, so that means maybe they can only do dragons. But if bot lane, if your bot lane's actually losing, then maybe you can't even get dragons. But on the other hand, if the Galio Jarvan were versing an Ashe, and maybe an Ashe Zyra bot lane, who are very vulnerable, don't really have much self-peel, then we could easily set up dives, and the quality of that pressure in this case would actually mean a lot more. So generally, this level of understanding comes about through scrims, and players should be looking for it as the draft kind of pans out. This is where champion mastery comes into play. So say you play a lot of Galio, you should know exactly what champs you love versing and hate
I'm being
versing
ganked by
in the
Nuno
game
and
as a whole, not just 1v1. So you should know, oh, I
sec.
really don't like versing Xayah bot lane as Galio, or I really love versing Ashe bot lane as Galio. This is where discussion should be had between laners. So maybe your mid laner talks to your bot lane and says, if you guys play Ashe Tarm and get countered by Jinx Lulu, then it's okay because I can actually screw them over anyway. My champion actually counters them. So that's the fourth layer.
I mean,
you can kind of see how complicated and how many little ways you can optimize the draft by getting into these layers. The next one's threat.
Can we pause though?
Now, threat is my favorite way to...
I mean, I don't know what your opinion is, but this has nothing to do with layers. What he's saying that you can plan out the whole game and every 2v2 and whatever just before you even play the game. That's impossible. You need to adapt in the moment and play the game like 60 seconds ahead or whatever. What the only thing you can plan out is maybe first 2 to 3 waves, and after that it's adaptability based on what opponents are doing.
And then surety is on who has autonomy.
Yeah, I mean. Yeah, I mean,
right, but then there's gonna be
layers. I mean, I don't know, like.
The really weird thing is that this is very black and white without gray, right?
Yeah, this is black and white. Everything.
But I think I think it's fine to arrive at black and white if you sift through gray. You know what I mean? Because ultimately, gray, the way that how do I describe this? So if I take like this probably won't work, but where's the spray paint thingy? Was it this? Okay, yeah. So if you do this, right? If you just spray really big, right? It looks like there's some black specks on the screen, right? Even though it's gray. It looks like there's black specks where the gray overlaps, right? But when you zoom in on the gray, it's not actually black. I mean, it is black and white, but only I'm sorry, yeah. It is black and white when you're at a distance, right? But ultimately, it's all gray and you have to sift through it. Does that make sense? Twitch chat, do you understand the analogy? It's gray. It is gray once you sift through the black and white. Right? But from a distance, it looks black and white. It looks like there's a lot of white, and it looks like there are specks of black. But when you zoom in, it's just gray, right? Does that make sense? Do you get what I'm saying?
I do, but I think this is too much IQ for Twitch chat.
Whatever. All right, you want to keep going?
It's fine, let's keep going.
What are you at? 11? I'm at 11, 12.
Okay, 11, 13 for me.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Generate pressure and options. As mid laners, we know a lot about threat. If not directly, we know about it tacitly. When you play, for example, Orianna or Zoe or Ryze, and you're versing maybe a Diana Rek'Sai or an Elise Aurelia, you'll know what I mean by threat. It's that feeling of being scared because they can just take an aggressive trade or 100 to 0 you at a moment's notice. But how exactly can we generate...
Pause.
Pausing.
So this is one of my biggest arguments against Elise and Lee Sin and other stuff, right? What he's describing is actually not real. It's an illusion.
Yes, because this threat is only when you're a bad player.
The threat continues to diminish the better that you get at the game. And so Twitch chat, a way that you guys can understand it is if you ask a silver or bronze friend or iron friend why they might not do certain things, they might answer you that the jungler could gank me. What you end up realizing the higher that you get up is that the jungler has to abide by certain laws of the game, for the most part, without taking insane risks. Now, sometimes these junglers do take insane risks, and they're sinning out of their mind. They're literally being baptized in hell. But what we come to realize is that the jungler can't always be ganking you. And you can use information to deduce when the jungler can hit you, when they can't hit you. This is how we've come up with pockets. This is how you know what side of the lane to stand on. This is how you know, when an opponent's going to look for a recall. You can use deductive reasoning to basically conclude whether or not you're actually under threat. Now, sometimes you could get it wrong, but the reality is that the higher that you go up, the better of a player that you get. This is not a real thing. This becomes more real the lower level that you are, and the lower down the further down the ladder that you go.
Yep.
But it's not a real thing. Yeah. All right. Ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Threat and use it to our advantage. Number 1, we can generate threat by understanding the weaknesses of champions and micro interactions. For example, Yasuo is a champion that needs to be able to trade aggressively to win trades. So if we pick a jungler that can gank mid really well and has a lot of river control and isn't really reliant on skill shots, then Yasuo is going to be less inclined to trade aggressively, which means he'll be giving pressure over to the enemy mid laner, and then he's going to be very, very threatened in that laning phase. Another example, Orianna mid doesn't...
Paused.
How is Yasuo able to take aggressive trades only to get good trades? You know what I mean? Like, what is an aggressive trade?
Right.
What? Like, he can trade in a way where the enemy jungler can't do anything.
Right.
Like, he can
freeze a wave and then only trade on an incoming minion wave that also allows him to retreat and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
he can dash back to minions.
Right.
He has wind wall safety. He has flash. He has base moon speed. He has boots. Like anything.
Right.
Like,
Right. It doesn't make sense.
Is this wrong?
But then also, what is Yasuo's jungler doing when he's deciding to take these trades?
Yeah.
Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Deal well with hard engage. So if we can somehow get our jungle Zac a really good jungle matchup and allow Zac to get to level 6, then Orianna will have to actually give pressure in a time that she wouldn't have otherwise if maybe she was versing a Nidalee or a Graves or a Kindred. These micro interactions can be as small as Tarm countering Zoe Bubble, or as big as Azir into a full linear engage composition. All of these micro interactions and small champ weaknesses can completely change the level of threat a laner feels. 2. CC is a key element towards generating threat.
Pause.
This is why you generally see...
It bothers me a lot that he's reading off of a script and that this is so pre-planned and that it's so egregious.
Well,
like, it bothers me a lot how pre-planned it is.
It's probably hard. It's hard to talk on a video just like, out of nothing. But yeah.
How else would you do a video? I mean, I don't know. I managed to do this. I managed to do this without any takes during a live stream. What do you mean?
You're showing the TSM shaft?
Of course. Yes, I managed to do it without any takes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, yeah.
You can just do it, yes.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, it's 50 minutes long? Cool, mine's 2 hours and 6 minutes, buddy.
Yeah.
What?
That is true. That is true.
Oh.
I agree with that one. But even then, like myself, I'm not as good talker as you. So.
You don't have to script videos. You just need guidelines. The reason that I'm saying that a script I think is bad in this case is because there's so much error, and yet it's scripted. I think it's fine when you have error and it's not scripted. Do you know what I mean? This is sort of like, did anyone realize the big fuck up I did? I made a really big fuck up in my latest patch rundown on the T1 Fighting channel. I made a really big fuck up. I calculated Karma's base mono region wrong, and then I made a incorrect calculation in the video. Because it's not scripted. I totally fucked up. Right? That's actually really bad. It's one that like makes me feel really bad after I notice.
I did the same one on the Senna.
Yeah. Right. Sometimes it happens, right? But
yeah,
if it happens and it's scripted, that's really bad. You know what I mean? Like if I like manually wrote out Karma's like change or something and I messed up, that'd be really bad. Yeah. Well, you could script. No, clapped. I mean, it's not a lol w. You could script, okay? But the problem is that imagine you script and then you still mess up. Like, what? All right. You ready?
Yeah, let's go.
1, 2, 3, go.
It's like Ryze paired with champs that can follow up on his root, or Zoe paired with junglers that can follow up on her bubble. Number 3. If the enemy is threatened and has to respect, the jungler can begin to play mind games. This is where the concept of perceived threat and mind games comes into play. This is one of the most important concepts to understand about high levels of play that the average Redditor or even the average coach has no idea about. Let me set the scene with an example. Let's just say Bjergsen is versing Jensen. Bjergsen's on Orianna, Jensen's playing LeBlanc. Now imagine Bjergsen has a Sejuani jungle, whereas Jensen has maybe an Olaf or a Rek'Sai jungle. Now imagine Bjergsen has no river vision, and he's worried at any moment LeBlanc can just W forward, chain him, then maybe Olaf or Rek'Sai sitting in the side bush, tunnels in, and just destroys your face.
She can't.
As a result, Bjergsen actually has to play very respectfully and wait until someone can come and relieve pressure.
Pause.
But now
Yeah.
What's the state of the lane? Where's Orianna? What wave is it? Where did Rek'Sai start? Where did Olaf start? What was the level 1 opening? Where was the initial ward? What did Bjergsen do with second wave? What did he do with third wave? What's LeBlanc's mana pool? What's her HP?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this is just
now,
like...
the thing is that Orianna has autonomy in the matchup. So when you're talking about it from a draft perspective, you talk about it from Orianna's point of view. An analysis is done from Bjergsen's point of view, regardless of Jensen. And all analysis is how much Bjergsen fucks up, because Bjergsen carries autonomy into the matchup. That's how analysis works. So sometimes, when you're doing analysis, it'll sound very negative about Bjergsen, right? But you do not talk about Jensen, because the matchup, LeBlanc does not have autonomy. She doesn't have say. If she manages to get autonomy or say in the matchup, then you actually switch the narrative to Jensen. If Jensen gets a kill or two very early in the lane, has an obscene amount of, power in lane, has, tier 2 boots or something, 2 level lead, all of the talk from a caster and analyst perspective becomes about Jensen. Because it is about, does he manage to carry the torch to the finish line, or does he blunder and drop it? Doesn't matter what Bjergsen's doing, because Bjergsen can't do anything correct that Jensen didn't allow.
Okay.
This is autonomy. So...
First of all...
Yeah, go.
First of all, Mr. Nexotime, who says it's a fucking example. Yes, it's a fucking example that cannot be shown like this. It's black and white. It needs to be shown wave states, and it needs to be shown everything, every context.
Right. The only thing that can be shown.
You cannot think into the game going, this and this will happen. It doesn't work like that, man. What? And then the second guy who just said LeBlanc is favorite into Rihanna. No, she's not. If you remove both junglers from the game and you have a 1v1, a good Orianna player will always win.
Why is autonomy black and white? So I think that's a really good question. I think the reason that autonomy is black and white is because it's theory based on our current understanding of the game. Now, that doesn't make it true, but it's theory, not in the theory sense of I have an idea. Theory in the sense that this has been tested over and over and over, and if you're going to say otherwise, you need to demonstrate otherwise. So I'm fine if someone comes and says LeBlanc beats Orianna, and then they can demonstrate it, okay? And they can demonstrate it beyond a reasonable doubt, okay? Then, suddenly, it switches from autonomy in Orianna's favor to autonomy in LeBlanc's favor. This has happened in esports many, many, many times, okay? Where someone comes along and challenges the pre-existing theory. So, when you're going to challenge theory, then you need to be able to demonstrate why theory is incorrect. Okay? There's been many eras like this in StarCraft, Warcraft, you know, even League of Legends, right? And oftentimes I like to use the time leap argument when we entertain theory. Or when someone tries to argue against the ability to challenge theory. I like to use the time leap argument, okay? Because if I assert that something is possible and that you can demonstrate that it is possible, and they claim it's not possible or that it's too hard, you can use the time leap argument. Because a modern-day professional player, going back to Season 3 or Season 4, would mop the floor with all of those pros. And everything that those pros believe to be correct and true about laning phase, lane manipulation, jungle timing, pathing, etc., they would get smacked silly. So their current... Yeah,
you know what's also a good example?
What?
When people compare, like, who do you think is better? Season 3 Faker or Season 9 Faker? And you're just like...
It's always Season 9. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always Season 9. He's just a way better player nowadays
Yes.
because he needs to know more and the game has evolved.
Yes.
It's the same, like... I hate it so much. Who was better mid laner for TSM?
So,
this guy or that guy? What?
Interestingly, remember Yumi and Max had this conversation in regards to Armada in Smash Brothers. The only time where a conversation like this becomes entertainable is when the game hasn't progressed past its previous mechanical state. So what I mean by that is like Season 11 Faker versus Season 8 Faker. Season 8 or Season 9 Faker could catch up very quickly and contend. Because in terms of mechanical game progression and mechanical understanding of the game on a fundamental level, not much has actually changed. But also even on a game theory perspective. This is what me and Nemesis, when we do the co-streams, guys, we talk about the game being stuck. The meta is stuck for like 2 years. We are in an era right now. We are in an era, and the era is actually, for the first time ever, slightly changing. And one of the noticeable things about the era slightly changing is actually something as simple as Moonstaff, right? A tweet can suddenly just go viral, and lots of different regions start picking it up, right? Someone can tweet that a champion's really good, and a lot of people are willing to just try it. You know what I mean? But in the same sense, there's still a lot of resistance. Right? So we're in an era, and we're experiencing turbulence, okay? But when an era exists, the time leap argument becomes less relevant. And so the reason that we were, Nemesis, I, and Max were talking about this in regards to Armada and Smash is the question, could Armada come back today and get back on top in Smash Brothers? From where Armada quit Smash Brothers Melee to present day, yes, he could come back. However, when we saw time leaps take place with like other games or other generational players, they failed to be able to return to a previous shape. Now, there could be other things that made this so, but most of the point is centered around those players were not actually playing at a level fundamentally equivalent to modern day gameplay. Whereas, you know, Season 8, Season 9 players were playing at a fundamental level. Very similar to modern day gameplay. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Couple. All right, ready? Let's go.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
that Jensen knows that Bjergsen's actually really scared and has no knowledge, and he knows that Bjergsen has no knowledge of Rek'Sai's location, he can actually feint pressure and pretend Rek'Sai's there to back him up and position aggressively as if he is there in the area. But little does Bjerg know that Rek'Sai is actually
pause. A lot of people are citing Forgiven right now. Okay.
Yeah.
So they're citing Forgiven, and they're saying that he can't be good anymore, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Okay, so you're saying that right now. The thing with Forgiven, that is the thing with Forgiven is that his role, I think the most important thing that happened in his role was that comprehensive game knowledge in the role got a lot better.
That is true.
Right? But that's different from fundamental. How do I word this? That's different from like fundamental gameplay stuff. But also, you're saying that Forgiven. It's not that Forgiven can't get back to his mechanical level or anything like that. It's that everyone else has sort of like caught up.
Yes, but yeah, that's one thing. But also, like, I would have different reasons why I think that compared to a normal player.
Okay, such as?
I don't know if I can say this in stream.
Just type it first.
Like, I wouldn't. Okay.
Yeah, I shouldn't say that. Yeah. So this is the other thing. This is the other thing I'm talking about. So
I can't say it.
Right. When I was referencing some of the Smash players that failed, it's not necessarily that it's always because they can't actually get to that. It could be outside variables, for sure. And I think that stuff like that is I think stuff like that is totally fine. Yeah. Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Tanking bot. So Rek'Sai
Pause. Sorry. So Karibo has asked, who has better glasses? Coach Curtis, Bjergsen, or Jensen?
I mean...
Honestly, I really think Jensen. I think Jensen walks away with this one. Fits his face just a lot better.
Oh my god.
You know? Bjergsen
like
kind of has like that weird "Where's Waldo" look going on right now. You know what I mean?
You have to imagine how would Coach Curtis look if he had like the black color of glasses, you know, like the same color.
Hold on, Bjergsen really does just kind of have like that "Where's Waldo" look going on right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Harry Potter.
He's got that weird, yeah. That's fine.
Yeah.
Jensen has like the Dexter vibe going on, like he's gonna kill you or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
He literally looks like a mad scientist. It's great. And then Coach Curtis he looks like he'd hang out with you. It looks like he's chair for Team Liquid this weekend.
If you want to do another video after this one, we have to hurry up.
Yeah, I know. All right, ready?
We shouldn't watch fully of this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's watch a little bit more. All right, ready?
Yeah,
1,
2 minutes.
2, 3, go.
Literally exerting so much pressure on the map that he's literally in 2 places at once. That, like, how OP is that? This is one of the most important concepts of League of Legends that no one understands, and unless you are a pro player or have played at the highest level of play, you don't know what that feels like. But this is massive, because then, if Rek'Sai's off vision and doesn't show anywhere, as long as he doesn't show, he'll be exerting what we call perceived threat everywhere on the map, as long as he doesn't show on the map. So Bjergsen will have to play scared, Bot will have to play scared, everyone's played scared because they just don't know where he is. And the laners that have the Rek'Sai can play as if the jungler's there to, again, pretend that their jungler's there ready to back them up. So this is a very important concept to understand. The next concept is balancing or complementing champion identities. Similar to how LS referred to champion colors, very simply put, champions thrive when certain conditions are met. Maybe it's the amount of frontline they require, the pace of the game, the way fights play out, the way the lane actually plays out, where on the map they want to fight. All of these details matter. Now let's take Orianna for example. Orianna thrives with frontline. She thrives against low engage. She loves a slower paced game with very little river skirmishes in the early game. She also loves it when the enemy is lower range, has to come to her rather than walk into them. She also wants to play fights front to back. Now, for example, if you paired Orianna with a comp like Elise or Renekton, where they want early river fights, they want to dive top, etc., and maybe they're versing a Victor Sejuani, she's so confused. Because she gets outscaled by Victor Sejuani in team fights, so she actually has to take cleanse, so she actually loses pressure in lane because she doesn't take TP. She can't back up Elise Renekton for early dives, and she just gets outranged in mid game. So she's forced to run with Renekton and Elise in these fights and dive the backline, which is not what Orianna wants at all. And this is one of the biggest draft problems I actually see generally falls within this category. This is when I see champions that are drafted that are directly opposed to each other from a macro standpoint.
Not yet.
An obvious example of this would be drafting a splitting champion like Fiora or Jax, but drafting a comp that revolves around team fighting where one champion's kit or itemization is directly for splitting, yet the others need to win team fights. This creates suboptimal situations and eventually leads to one or multiple champs having to compensate and just makes the game harder. This is when LS was talking about you have one champion that's color red.
I think this is the pretty much the best part that he's had so far. Because this doesn't have to do with, like, champions or stuff like that. I mean, or what are you going to say?
I didn't like the Orianna part.
What? What about it?
Did you pause?
Yes. Oh my god. God damn it, chat.
What?
No, my chat. They had a poll.
No, the Orianna part wasn't really, like, some of it was okay, but like saying that that she has to dive the back Renekton and Elise, and then that like Victor and Sejuani are just like outright outscaling her. I mean it's more than that. And then also like he should mention that Orianna doesn't like having Elise and Renekton. It's not about what champions the enemy team has. It is, but like in the case that he was presenting, it was more about Elise and Renekton. Also, Renekton just doesn't have to dive top lane every wave. That's like very black and white. The champ can have more options than that.
I agree. But I mean, what I'm referencing is this is the first time where he doesn't apply super general. I can't speak. I can't speak. He's not generalizing things overtly. He actually he talked within examples. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Gengar Nold is here.
Should we stop a video, by the way?
Yeah, I mean we can stop. You wanna move on to something else?
Yeah, let's swap. No, like one more at least.
Yeah.
So
what do you want? Yeah. Ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, go.
Hi Summoners, and welcome back to another episode of Proguides OP Pick or Ban, now in patch 11.3. These are champions that are a little bit overtuned for one reason or another, so they have the power to affect your games more than they otherwise should. In light of that, you'll be able to want to either ban these champions out, or go ahead and pick them. With all that being said, let's go ahead and jump right into it.
Starting things off in the top lane, we have Darius. With so many of their items taking a hit this patch, most bruisers are dropping a good amount in power, which means that tanks are even going to be more in the meta than before. Since Darius already auto-wins tank matchups, and at the very worst could go even against bruisers before,
for what elo
this
is
should
this?
be good news for him.
I don't know.
You're going to have a better chance of getting
Let's
an early lead
pause
in lane,
after each
and
champion.
as pretty much everyone should know by now, that means you can easily snowball your lead into easily won team fights. Darius isn't a super complicated champion either. Just make sure that you're always aiming to hit the outer part of your Q, even if you have to use your Ghost or Flash to do so. In lane, it's fine to take trades with Q alone, but if you're going to be looking for a more extended trade, make sure you fully commit. This means that as soon as your opponent seems to be in a spot where you can go for an all-in, you should instantly be able to use your Ghost, sticking to them, and stacking your passive as fast as possible. This will almost always get their flash. Since you have your own flash to follow up or save for another all-in, this will always lead to another kill if they overstep. Once you're out of the laning phase,
let's just pause.
Let's just
go to the next champion. I mean,
yeah,
I don't understand.
This is a thing for gold and plat. People are saying
it's for gold and plat.
Yeah, apparently. I mean,
it says every role.
Yeah, I don't know.
The thing is that Darius just had 3 items get hit, basically. Well, he had 2 items get hit directly. He had Dead Man's get hit, and he had Steric's get hit.
People don't usually build that though.
And then
That's
2
what I
patches
know.
ago, he had his passive get hit, which
Yeah.
was more impactful for lower MMR than it is for high MMR. And the reason that it's more impactful for lower MMR than high MMR is because high MMR players already know to space against Darius correctly. Lower MMR players don't know to space against Darius correctly. So his passive getting hit actually impacts mid and low MMR greater than high. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm currently losing the
I
level
mean-
1 hype train. It's all over.
Yeah, I mean, dude, are we even able to react to this? Because it's like gold, you know what I mean? Like, what?
I mean, I would not recommend Darius to a gold player. I mean, you can
Yeah, I
you
don't
can
know,
still
man.
play him, but I mean, hold on, let me check.
I mean, this is so generic, everything they're saying, you know what I mean?
Wait, hold on.
Flash and Ghost and Q the champion and then attack him and stack your passive and this is how you kill him.
Can you shut up? Okay, hold on. Let me see.
Jesus.
Yeah, I took him off all my tier lists. It's actually in my removed notes. Okay.
You're overreacting, Kevin.
Yeah. Got to level 2. Thank you, Aphilon, for 10 gifted tier 1s.
Jesus.
All right, what are
yeah,
we
make me
doing?
feel
What is
bad, bro.
QQ? Oh, question of the day. What champ do you
I
find the
don't
most? Okay, I'm not gonna do that. Malphite. Malphite is good. Kha'Zix for low MMR players. Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, I mean, Kha'Zix for low MMR is just terrible.
Yeah,
And
let's.
it's also not Gorginker, but then again, I guess it got nerfed.
Thank you. I mean, we have 10 minutes by the way. So what are we even gonna do?
I don't know. I think this video is not
We can just talk.
particularly. Yeah.
We can answer questions from chat, I guess.
Why is Anivia in the low MMR? Like you don't play Anivia if you're low MMR.
You don't play Anivia if you're low MMR, and then also Recco. Recco, you like that? Echo is being recommended too, even though Echo just got indirectly hit by a lot of things. I don't know why Jin's being recommended or at low MMR.
It's fine. No Soraka. Go next.
It's fine.